As you can see, I'm fired up talking about this drama. And it haven't started with IDubbz, it started with the content nuke. Content nuke then prompts me to think about of in which ways H3H3 was criticized and was it justified. And in a very similar reasoning, IDubbz is criticizing H3H3, who is very likely gonna go off the rails even in this video because he was going off the rails for 5 hours and is completely standing behind the podcast that he released to the public. Podcast which I watched. I did sit through 6 hours because he started reacting in a previous podcast and then finish in a crawling speed because he had to spit out every single imaginable swear word against his own friend, and it's like impossible to watch without acknowledging that H3H3 wants to feel good about himself and he wants to pet his ego, even prepare, just to prepare. He had to bring his wife. He had to really, for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, discuss should we watch this video or not. It's like, wow, that's so scary, but we will have to watch it eventually. Like, this was the most weirdest thing to even start unpacking, let alone dive into and completely get a full grip. So, I understand there's a lot of people who have not followed this situation anymore deep enough to even understand how twisted it actually is. And my experience is that Ethan completely misunderstands IDubbz. Just completely. Meaning that I can already deliver a more clarifying revision against this response. I can give him a response from IDubbz simply because he misunderstands on purpose. And right now he starts off with this. You didn't talk about Child Protective Services even once.
Watching this episode. The video that I'm making today, however, I don't need an hour for because there's really just one central point that I want to make here. My good friend Ian, in his hour-long takedown, did not mention one time Child Protective Services. Not one time. In the entire video, he never says CPS. No mention, no explanation.
It is hard to understand why CPS is that fundamental evil that holds everything together. That this is something he cannot live through anymore. Calling CPS, right? Calling CPS. When you're a public figure, you're probably not gonna get hit as hard as a regular person, first of all, because people understand the conditions in which you live in, and you have proof all over the place. Right? But that's questionable as well. If you have the right to defend yourself against CPS when, you have a dirty mouth. Having a podcast and having a dirty podcast is a whole different level. When H3H3 first started, he had a pretty good podcast. Pretty watchable. And then he sits down and emotionally dumps. And that's exactly what IDubbz had to mention to get my votes, to get me on his side on the fence when it comes to dunking on H3H3, but I also, leave a dunker on IDubbz, essentially, because I don't like the dude either, but I do love dunking on H3H3, so I will side with IDubbz for the time being. I think this is where he picks sides, where he goes and, joins the bad people. First, he shows that he can, that it's not difficult for him and not morally breaking him into pieces, that these people are nice enough to let him join. That's something to acknowledge. The next thing, he was able to extract niceness out of them towards Ethan and give a very powerful ending for the video in Content Cop. And he did mention CPS in a different way than Ethan wanted, IDubbz doesn't want to tangle himself in drama, but he sees a problem, right? He sees that Ethan is burning bridges left and right, and it's like, okay, let's burn my bridge, right? If I attack you, you attack me, and it's over, right? Like, our friendship is completely buried. I think that was the strategy behind this. So CPS was actually mentioned in the one section of the video where, like, Deadmaus is being shown on the screen, a picture of Deadmaus, and it's like, I wouldn't actually burn a bridge. We're like friends, and I wouldn't just throw out a friend just because they did one bad thing, right? And they're not gonna do it again. It's kind of like Sniper Wolf Drama situation where technically it was a, ill will behavior that went too far. And now this guy is gonna constantly be playing the victim card of like, shit, this is the worst thing they've done, and they should keep their distance away from me and all that shit. And it's like, but that doesn't mean that people have to pick sides now, Like, people can still be friends with whoever amongst these both borders or whatever. And CPS doesn't seem to be like a big enough deal because not enough damage has been done to warrant more people breaking up, basically. I would understand that Ethan has like strong morals and he wants to distance himself from these people, and he almost needed this bad thing to happen to build a wall, to fortify himself, to get that big ass shield and protect his. I would imagine sanity. I think he's just trying to protect his sanity, but because he's just borderline going insane every single time on everything, barking on everyone. So he wants to see enemies, and he wants to see enemies far away. So I gave you guys the context, but let's see where it goes, because it goes off the rails immediately, alright? This guy is begging for support, and this is why IDubbz was like, I don't want to give you support. Support means breaking up with other people, and for him is not that straightforward. He haven't made up his mind just yet, And usually whoever is rushing to burn bridges is gonna be the first one to be considered as the bridge to be burned. Because drama will resolve faster. There's one person who's eager to break up with you. Of course you're gonna break up with that person instead of like the rest of your family or something. So it was a very normal relationship situation where Ethan muddied the waters with politics. He's bringing up Jewishness in there. He's bringing up all the reasons of like, oh wow, these people are anti-Semitic, and all of a sudden we're muddying the waters with NPC talking points. Talking points that everyone sort of understands because they're the evil people and we're the good guys. Narratives, And this is how politics kind of enslave humanity. They're the good guys, we're the good guys, you're the bad guys. That's it, man. That's it. You side with them, and now we're gonna start barking. Now we're gonna be very upset if you side with the other side. It's crazy. And there can be a shit pile. Like leftism can create a shit pile of unexcusable decisions, of trying to defend certain type of people that cost them a lot, be very rude to the other people in return while trying to defend small people. Like, if you defend a homeless person, you don't have to be mad on anyone else. You're just helping a homeless person. But when you're helping a black person, now you're demanding anti-racism to spread across the fucking world. And whoever's not anti-racist enough will be attacked. This is where leftism breaks the rules of just normal behavior and starts attacking people for not doing enough, or like breaking the rule even titsy bitsy of like, wow, you should have not said that about a black person. And so many homeless people still suffer, basically. They're still not being cared for or talked to, They're still being put down, and leftism didn't fucking do much, didn't it? Because the most important thing that lefties should have been doing is not only helping poor people, but making sure that those poor people are not vulnerable and are not being attacked, and they have high levels of self-esteem, and they can tell their story, they can still participate in social media, all that stupid shit, That they still have a voice. Pretty sure black people now have a voice. Everyone's listening very closely. And pretty sure trans people are clowns and don't need a fucking voice. Jesus Christ. When there's so many single people, there's so many so-called incels that lefties also are attacking for no particular reason. But those weak people are weak if they're incels, if they're stuck in a fucking room, not knowing who to socialize with. They're also weak. So leftism already disqualifies both of them from a civil conversation. They don't know what the fuck they're doing right now. They're just barking, they're doing some bullshit on the internet that has no respectable value. And my friends, I have to tell you this one thing. I don't write a script. I don't AI generate myself. I don't have to do that shit. That's my skill. I'm a politically charged person who can control himself and doesn't have to say bad things about neither parties unless they deserve it. And then apparently that's the thing that people care about. When I said toxic Jew in the goddamn description, that was it, man. That was it. By the way, person mentioned, bro. Wow. Toxic Jew, I explain exactly why it's warranted to call Ethan a toxic Jew. The only thing that you can be for is to make sure that more people get to live. Whether they get to live in jail or whatnot, that's another problem to solve for later, but at least they get to live. No one should be killed. No one should declare wars against each other. Just live a normal life. You don't have to make children. You don't have to provoke anything. Please. I understand that point. It's like anti-genocide, but even that is too complicated. Or cultural genocide, being against that. Like, that's simple. You don't want people to die and, like, whatever, right? But the moment you start talking about, I am Jew, and you don't understand the Jewish culture, and you cannot speak about it, and all that bullshit, all of a sudden you're identifying yourself successfully. You don't identify yourself by, I am this and that, and my pronouns are this and that. You identify by what things you are defending and heavily associating with. You don't have to associate with being a Jew. Not at all. You can immediately just denounce that culture and just leave the drama alone because there's no reason to worry about it. It is very convoluted. Even like the content nuke, watching the damn thing, yes, we found a bad guy, and yes, we see streamers are as borderline toxic people. That was a good piece of work. But now Content Cop was also a good piece of work targeting H3H3 and his weaknesses. This is what I would do as well. I target people's weaknesses. It's just IDubbz did it in a trolly way. He trolled real hard. Alright, he was that guy for a moment. He wanted to twist the situation and then put it back together and be like, hey guys, I even cried during the creation of this video, right? So even though CPS was not contained in the video, he cried, alright? And if you disrespect people crying, you don't understand how important that is for a human being to be like just so overwhelmed by everything, but finding something to hold on to, finding something that's beautiful, and like he expresses his feelings to next to the person who happens to be also a good person in the video. He clearly was not associating with these people, he was associating with the psychologist. And he unleashed his emotions in the end of the Content Cop. This is something I had to explain. All of the sentences that I've made is Ethan's misinterpretation because he's a bitter person. And he intoxicates the room around him, not even seeing the bigger point, the bigger picture of what's going on. It's not about being defended anymore. So in the end, he shows the bad guys saying nice things, and then he's crying, you know? It's like, wow. I know if my partner was attacked, I had to defend them. I know that much. I know there's some people who are I'm very close to that I will have to defend. That sort of talking point, I think, that made him cry. Because there are relationships that you have to fight for so hard. But you can leave your friends behind because they should be able to take care of themselves and defeat those fucktarded enemies, basically. No big deal.
Like, is fighting for free speech.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil. I'm like, fuck, like, it's really hard to be a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like, if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
And I have been kind of
Okay, it's actually a much more twisted point. But in a way, I hope he was sort of thinking about Ethan more of like, well, I can't come to your defense, you have to do it on your own, or give up the fight already, you know? The problem with IDubbz is that he cannot be coherent enough in this situation, and he cannot put together a coherent piece where Ethan would be satisfied, because there's like misinformation or whatever. Alright, let's jump in. This is how much context you need to know to just even start watching this video. There's already context. And again, I don't see IDubbz really siding with the beliefs of these people. It's just him saying that this is not as bad as Ethan wants you to believe, and it is weird for him to even, like, get into the conversation. This is why, like, the first reaction is like, what? He made content cop on me? Like, what? Which is weird. Like, it's weird initially that IDubbz has leverage in this situation at all. It's like, what? Why is he entering this conversation? But he kind of left enough crumbs to suggest that Ethan deserves that.
explanation, no overview, nothing.
And we can like rekindle our friendship. And I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you. And
Exactly. I have problems. I have problems as a viewer, and I feel like I was able to side with IDubbz for that time being, right? Even though he himself is sort of admitting of like, oh, I started smoking cigarettes and becoming even more toxic content cop if I was, right? It wouldn't fit the image anymore. And I had to agree with that too. With that, yeah, you're probably a bad person too, actually. But at least we can get the job done, you know, and move on. I am YouTube CEO, by the way. My role is to overwatch every single YouTube drama, and the last biggest one was not Sniper Wolf, but MatPat's leaving. That was the big drama over there, alright? And then counter drama is unspeakable, awesome content, right? There are technically counter dramas of me even being able to leech some Penguin Zero reputation. Me getting enough, like, sort of, courage to do that while Sniper Wolf drama was going on. So there's a, like, redemption going on at the same time while bad things are happening. For me, MatPat leaving is weird, but what makes it weird, it was a cloud of more people leaving at the same time, including Captain Sparkles. And it just sort of feels like a mistake, sort of feels like an overcommitting on something that, like, why is it so difficult for you to just stay, you know, and occasionally pop in? What's going on, right? In this case, we have rats. We have people who did not leave YouTube when they probably should have, you know, because they have burning buildings all of a sudden. They're gonna dig themselves even worse reputation. And right now, I feel like this is what's gonna happen. H3H3 is actually gonna burn his reputation down. And yes, most people are resisting my narrative and my understanding of the situation. Just like with Sniper Wolf, I mean, most people gonna do that. They're just gonna ignore the key points that change everything. One key point that I really love about this is you have to give respect to IDubbz and what he cares about. Because he doesn't post very much, alright? With Ethan, he posts a bunch of podcast after podcast, right? He just keeps pumping out gas and pumping his wallet. But with IDubbz, you get this, and you get this podcast you haven't heard about, which is Maximum Damage Podcast, right? I haven't tried it. I will try it. Maybe it's good. See, it's right here. It's right here. It's being promoted now. I'm not sure how old it is. Let's check it out. Always start any conversation. If you made it this far, you probably can. But, like, start with respect. You don't know. You just don't know everything. So, yeah, 2 years ago, he created this whole podcast. And he wasn't even a part of it, necessarily. Until 1.5 years ago, maybe. It's hard to tell what's going on here. And Let's Playing involved. So it's pretty fucking innocent, I imagine. But we'll see. You know, you got it with the podcast, you gotta fucking check levels of toxicity, and unfortunately for Ethan, I think it's maximum toxicity is what's going on in there. Maximum, that is fine. As long as you don't destroy anything in my room, alright? If he's playing Plants vs. Zombies, then he can do maximum damage and I'll be completely fine. So, IDubbz is in a situation where he actually holds moral high ground because he can be fully prepared, releasing a piece against someone. Fully prepared to stand for his values. Have full clarity on, you know, what he wants to say, what he wants to express, and I feel like it was completely fine. Even this clip contains the important message here, you know? I speak for those who cannot appreciate H3H3 anymore, you know? The dude has fallen off, and even losing his weight does not change him from a toxic person. That is very difficult to listen to. I watched 5 hours. The dude has a 5-hour audition for me. I want to watch the best YouTubers, and do you think I changed my mind and now I want to watch his podcast or put that podcast in the background? No, that did not fucking happen. The dude just made a react video, basically, except 3 hours too long. That's it. And making reaction videos doesn't matter how much commentary you pump in, you have to actually deliver value and actually squeeze your react video into something more reasonable and cut out the parts where you're being nasty and potentially misunderstanding the situation. I don't want to watch that, and he's actually promoting it at the start of the video as if he has full self-esteem still to this day about his podcast. I don't understand that shit, bro. That's not how podcasting works. Podcasting is where you shut the fuck up. A guest enters to talk because they get the platform, not the fucking toxic shit that we get to watch over and over again, who gets to yap and vent and emotionally dump. That's not what podcast format is about. This is literally just him ranting and barking at people for a certain amount of time. That's no longer a podcast. It has to have its own fucking name. I guess Ragecast? That sounds more reasonable. And I'm not sure what the internet actually thinks, because you never know. People who are offended want to click on these videos, and people who are satisfied, they're just gonna sit there quietly and just, you know, appreciate the aura points that they get for watching the video. They might not even press a like on videos like these. So never underestimate how twisted the situation actually is. The loudest people might just be the most toxic and the most triggered of them all. Just for me to get 6 likes on a video, that's hardcore. I mean, one of those really popular MatPat videos got like really bad ratios. Really bad. I would be surprised to get 3 likes. I got 9. Really good. This one was a lot worse. So 3 likes would also still be very good. 6 likes. And you gotta take what you can get. Now every like makes me less of a homeless person. I am basically a homeless YouTuber. I don't get a single dollar from YouTube from doing all of this. And I still get to deal with a lot of fucking toxic shit. Every 1,000 views in videos like these, where you can pick a side, I literally get 10 shittiest comments just insulting me straight up and deserving a ban. From one comment alone, a person deserves a ban. And on top of that, you get 5 comments who are mid-range, basically. They deserve a ban after posting a second comment. Then you realize, yep, that one's toxic too. So every 1,000 views, I have to deal with that level of toxicity of the internet. Weeding out and moderating my, channel. Because I do care. I do care to reply, and I do care to listen to whoever has anything to say, but most people don't. And that's what's concerning me the most. My fight is not against neither of these people. My fight is for my own relevancy and my own pain to pay off. So please subscribe. All right, and more context.
And a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
What he doesn't
And there's a lot of people.
say is the majority of the tick.
It's been pleasant hanging
Here's again another clip where I could have to stand with IDubbz.
out with you. I've enjoyed your content over the years, and as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I'm in complete agreement. And this is literally...
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today?
Like, this is so coherent of, like, here's a toxic person, and we don't have to focus on the wife. Here's a toxic person who allows this sort of toxic environment to just keep manifesting. And the dude just called that out. Like, how simple is that? And people still muddy the waters to make sure that, like, we have to pick sides? No. This is obvious. H3H3 is a toxic person, and he has a toxic audience, very likely, and is a person who we have to collectively stay away from. It's crazy, dude. There are no sides. There's just a fucking loser. And just because a loser becomes a victim doesn't mean that he's no longer a loser. It's still a person I want to stay away from. It's just the moment you are a victim, you will play that victim card to create drama around you, and now it's very interesting because more people will have to pitch in, like his friend. His friend will have to pitch in and tell everyone, yes, indeed, H3H3 is toxic, and it's still not good enough because this will he will explode in rage and be like, what? Why are you not defending me, bro? You're supposed to defend me. Yeah, maybe toxic, but like, please. Please, bro. I have enemies. Don't side with the enemy. It's so stupid, man. It's so stupid. Bro is literally running around. His house is burning down, and he's just running around. Where do I get more support? More support. Please support me more. The only thing he has to change is become a fucking better human being. And he wants support so badly, that's why he lost his weight. Now I'm starting to fucking put the things together, Now he is getting desperate.
Obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say like, yeah.
Experienced, it went into my real world, was affecting my children. And
yes. And now the question is, does that justify more attacks and more disruption? Or are you going to try and tone down? Because the situation got a little bit too far, Are you going to take things a little bit more with more precaution because the enemies are going to try and use whatever the fuck they can to accidentally involve the real world? Yep.
my life, I found
This is just what's going on. The real world is being called right now. That's just how apocalypse works, and YouTube is going into a weird-ass transition of being more political. And how do you win politics? You reject the politics. Anyone who asks of which side you're on, I am against politics. And you're gonna win the politics every single time. I'm against picking sides. I want to have integrity on my values, and the moment I pick sides, it will distort my ideology. I want to be heard loud and proud. This is the best, most optimal stance in politics, not centrism necessarily, because that sounds still like a side to pick. You vibrate between two dynamics in order to sort of get more comfortable. Yes, there's only two dynamics to choose from, but you take your own path. All right, you're gonna lean a little bit there, a little bit there. who cares, right? Based on what makes you the most comfortable. And because you're not taking a side, anyone who's your enemy is an enemy because they're fucking idiots, you know? Like, you don't have to worry about that shit. All your enemies are idiots, and they're just there to waste your time. But when politics is also involved, it means real-life implications. Your life will have to change in some kind of way. You will have to talk with authorities. You will be confronted, and you will have to ask yourself, if you haven't went too far into a certain direction, H3H3 is not a victim, my friends. When you consider the context that he was politically digging a well so deep and eventually got caught, because when you become political, guess what happens? We scrape everything that you have ever posted, everything that you ever done, everything that you actually have. We actually start caring about that shit to try and pull you down, basically, because you're on the opposite side of some kind of argument. That's just what the internet is gonna do. And if they can just do something real life related, they'll do it. If you make it too convenient for them and you make them outraged enough, they will do it. You know, they will start intimidating you for real. This is not a new thing at all. I'm surprised this is louder than like YouTubers getting hacked, or almost as loud as honey drama. Fucking drama of YouTubers getting scammed. This is how loud this guy wants to actually be on this platform. It's unbelievable.
Very unacceptable. Now, why?
And he's neglected children raised.
So far, like, this seems reasonable, right? This is a reasonable reaction overall. It's just one of the dudes is spreading misinformation, and one of the dudes started putting down the dominoes, and should be the one responsible for everything. She's just responding and allowing the listeners basically to pitch in how serious they think it is. So Deadmaus is actually also being kind of like missing the bullet right now. It's this guy fucking speaking misinformation and exaggerating things, basically. Despite knowing what actually is going on in the households of Ethan, he shouldn't know that information. It's just, again, Deadmaus gets sucked into this shit because she made the call. But she was not... I mean, I don't think it was even confirmed that she did the call, by the way. Do you understand?
How?
After CPS was called, Deadmaus attempted to just...
So the dude actually rewinds the damn drama, basically. Hey, guys, let me remind you of the exact drama that happened one more time with the exact same talking points that IDubbz forgot to mention for the third time, you know, guys? And I can even just push the justification of Deadmaus of, yes, children do not get traumatized because their feelings attached to parents. If they're traumatized, they will feel that their parents are much more traumatized. So they're just gonna like put it off and just like, well, I can't do anything about that. Maybe when I grow up, when I am too traumatized still, and I blame my parents, then we're gonna have a talk with the parents, you know? But children don't make enough decisions to be traumatized, that their decisions that they make are actually like falling apart, or that they get sick or whatever. If they push through, it's like fine. If they feel pain, yes, they will be traumatized. But drama is not something they can comprehend properly. So that was kind of like what Deadmaus was trying to do. Maybe it's not good enough justification, but you can still try to argue your way out, no? Is it bad that she tried to do that? I don't understand anymore. We're not allowed to do arguments? That's literally how we're supposed to solve the problems. And it was not a wrong argument. But you can treat it as wrong on your side because you don't like Deadmaus that much, do
justify
you?
it by claiming that it's okay because children can't be traumatized.
Memory here for them, like they are 5 and 3. They don't understand this shit.
Literally in the same sentence, they don't understand so I don't want to make bad memory. And it's like, they won't understand. You know, you can just explain it away of like, well, you don't have to worry, but this is the shit that we have to worry about as adults. And I will explain it to you later. You don't have to worry about that shit right now. Adults go through a lot of crazy experiences, you know? And you can just say honestly to your children that, well, we're going to talk about it eventually. I'm going to try to explain it to you if it matters. And it's like, whatever. But being overly protective is like, that's not actually a moral stance.
Memory for them. You're not forming memories at 3 years old, and it's very rare that you're
What's this IQ points? Damn, yeah, he's an IQ
forming
expert
memories
now.
at 5 years old. Nah, yes, you are. No, you're not. When we're talking about being able to remember, being able to...
Unbelievable, bro. Such disrespect. Literally, bro is spitting mad disrespect to someone's argument. And it's like, oh, most people think that, yes, these are going to be like horrific memories, dude. Holy shit, man. Obviously, being pulled away from your family, being separated from your family, if there's the chance that that's going to happen, you're going to be overly protective over that. Absolutely. Fight your fight. Prove that you're a good parent. That's what people want in authorities, to approach you and you become that good parent that everyone wants you to be. Absolutely. You will be threatened, you know? A policeman always comes with a gun, ready to pull his gun. You have to be proven that you're a good citizen every single time as best as you can. That is just your duty. And now we're just gonna fucking yap about all these little titsy bitsy things that someone said right now, am I right?
Recall 15.
Yeah, by the time you're managing memories as if they're like really important, and you are capable of making memories on your own terms, because that is gonna amplify the importance of memories even more. When you have the ability to do things in life and make important decisions, that's gonna form your memories because they belong to you. So I completely understand her point of view. There's no need to call this out. Like, what the fuck is going on? Can we be civil? And of course, whoever cannot be civil, whoever's the loudest and the proudest, by being a fucking snarky little bitch, will get the other end of the stick, unfortunately. Some people will get one of these, and the other person gonna get the other end of the stick, guys. And bro is actually flexing that, oh, I didn't need a fucking hour to respond to this. Oh yeah? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're wrong about that, bro. I'm pretty sure you will have to respond for an hour and another hour. Because that's how apology videos actually are made, where A+ is gotten basically of uploading 10 hours of apology in the change you make throughout life. Apology is nothing. Apology is just a turn of the wheel. You have to park your fucking car, you have to change your behavior. This is unbelievable. So the dude was just so pissed off, like, hey guys, let's not derail the situation here. I am the victim, please. Don't listen to IDubbz, please. I'm victim right now. Dude, don't you remember the CPS thing? Like, this is the narrative right now. The dude is panicking, shitting his pants.
One or two memories.
Something happened in real life and it burst the YouTuber bubble so quickly. Permanently, basically. Permanently traumatizing H3H3, not his children. Nobody. Just the dude who got in the middle of this drama. Who wants to win. Who wants to squeeze the juice out of it. Out of the closest drama. He's just gonna start squeezing, you know? Oh, you think IDubbz is correct? Squeeze!
If you're wondering who the guy is,
literally the bad guy, and he's admitting to calling CPS. Okay, we found the bad guy. And anyone associated with this guy is gonna be somewhat 10% as bad. Alright, where do we go from here, is the question.
CPS on Ethan Klein.
Because the things are just so clear. And this was actually already mentioned. This is not new information. It's just he's rewinding literally the same old thing, completely disregarding IDubbz's existence right now and whatever he was trying to say. Because he's a victim and he can't disregard everything. He's such a victim, you know? There are more important matters right now. He still needs to cry about this, you know? The real question, I'm an audience member, right? What do I get from this? What do I have to give? What's going on, right? Yeah, okay, I learned the story. Like, most of the people just gonna learn the story and it's just like, okay, I guess these are bad guys. Can I go now? I'm in the same situation. I'm like, okay, we found bad guys. You deal with them, Ethan. You sue them. I don't care, dude. I don't know if IDubbz associates with this sort of shit. And he probably didn't mention it because he doesn't want to associate it again. And doesn't think that 10% of empanada is good enough to actually burn a bridge with someone attractive and whose IQ points actually grow higher the less H3H3 video you watch, which is actually pretty badass. I would do the same thing. I would grow IQ points while not watching H3H3 videos. That's absolutely correct.
PS on Ethan Klein.
Disappointed. The betrayal of one of your closest
Yeah, this is definitely a super villain right there.
long-term friends, huh?
I mean, the dude actually also feels like he infiltrated the evil corp. That's what cops would do. They would infiltrate and would make people who are just definitely victims of the situation as, you know, don't get too deep into it. Just get the fuck out of here or we put you to jail, bro. This is technically what's going on in UK. Like, UK police actually associates with all this fucking immigration bullshit and Starmageddon that's happening in UK. The police just kind of sides with the bad guys to infiltrate. In case the bad guys do something really stupid, they have to be on the spot to actually address the situation, right? So it's completely natural behavior for the cop to do that. And he kind of like brought his content cop reputation up out of the graveyard, I would say. It's still overall content cop is dead and never really gotten a grip on what the content was supposed to be like, but this is completely fine. It's just now the evil dude is like intimidating Ethan of like, hey, he's on our side, he's just exaggerating the fucking bullshit. And Ethan might actually take this narrative. That's not the narrative, but he might take it.
Friends, huh? Get worse. It's only gonna get worse, Mr. Klein.
Just to let you guys know, I'm my own person. I'm politically not leaning to anything. I just say in the moment, Ethan is way too toxic to not understand the IDubbz genuine concerns. And I do see there's a fucking bad guy, you know? There's a terrorist-looking guy, like, what the fuck?
Misery.
Bro is waiting for 9/11 to happen so he can do his evil schemes. Like, this is how it feels like right now.
Fear.
Peace.
His mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor.
Maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace.
Again, IDubbz spitting like really hardcore sentences there, or phrases. And offering basically H3H3 to change his behavior and maybe he will find peace. But this guy should actually go to jail, though. I mean, he's proclaiming to making situation worse. He's feeding the drama. He's so fucking full of himself. The dude has to go to jail. The dude has to get actually challenged in court right now. So if Ethan is not saying that in the rest of his video that he's going to be challenging this guy, I'm not gonna even have any respect for Ethan. I mean, he's throwing lawsuits left and right. Like, I want to hear it. That this guy is under the radar and is gonna get a slappy face in there.
It's just like, I don't know if like...
The best way to put someone in jail is when you know people in jail will hate that guy. Will destroy this guy's life. Then you know you're doing the right thing by putting that guy in jail. Oh boy. Because there's nothing worse than actually destroying moral values that humanity upholds properly. And even in jail, those moral values still have to exist in order to make life livable in there, because everyone's like crammed in there and they have to be somewhat nice to each other. So if there's a dude spreading misinformation and out of this, he creates drama and then he stands on top of this drama flexing his muscles, I'm sorry, this guy would be torn apart in jail as well, and he deserves to go there just to see what happens.
Hands or something?
Why CPS was called. Another one of their friends, Froggy Tonic, had been spreading the same malicious rumor about me on Twitter for days before CPS.
So is the editor of IDubbz basically justifying IDubbz intervention into this whole situation, right? Now, it is a little bit extra tricky to call Denims like a friend and then associate with the editor that has some weird-ass beliefs. Now he's pretty entangled in this and maybe justifies the content cop. But I don't think it's important.
Was called
right now.
as well.
Used to work with this
Used to, so yeah, this is some loose
video
shit
editor
right
named
now.
Precisely.
Yeah, I can actually get behind this. Narcissistic? Check, that's his personality. Neglectful? Probably. Bipolar? A weird thing to say.
Why Ian?
How you make money is how I judge whether you're neglectful or not.
Explain.
You see, PewDiePie is uploading these family vlogs, right? Almost like a proof that he's living a life successfully outside of YouTube, but still feeds YouTube what YouTube wants to see, that, you know, PewDiePie is doing fairly well. So Ethan almost has this gaping hole of not following the example of the biggest YouTuber of the platform. You're not following the example of the biggest YouTuber, are you kidding me? Of course you're going to get in trouble for that. So maybe Ethan is not even a victim. I'm thinking about it like very clearly right now. Maybe he's not even a victim. Maybe he just didn't show his family vlogs of how he's not neglectful, you know? Because you can, both sides can talk and say anything. But when it comes to real evidence and real things that are worth showing, those are kind of missing. The dude is just sitting there on his ass and grinding money in the most neglectful ways. Because it's neglectful to make enemies. That is the point I'm making, basically.
Explain one time. Rumor, and when the CPS call was made. The CPS call is central to understanding this story.
No, the central is this guy made a lot of enemies. That's the central point. Not what happened, but Jack's films making criticism after criticism after criticism and slowly building up a snowball of harassment. It snowballs, it accumulates, and H3 learned nothing of his friend's demise, of getting real-life consequence, and YouTube not stepping in to defend Jack's films at all, because that would mean deleting Sniper Wolf's channel. What the fuck are you talking about? We delete channel just like that? Make better arguments. Make bigger and better drama out of it. Jack's films. And this is not the central part. This is what he wants you to believe so he can be much more morally righteous, sit on this fucking mountain of, oh my god, CPS, oh man, CPS has killed my children and eaten my dog, right? Is that what happened? Like, I want to know, how bad was it, really? Because only then I can actually evaluate this situation. If this is such a pivot, integral part, I need to know how many dogs have been eaten because of CPS existence, basically, in his home or whatever. Oh no, my children should not see the dog being eaten, you know, like, yeah, maybe I would be like, wow, that's crazy. Why would CPS eat your dog in front of your children? Like, please give me something, because, like, calling CPS, like, I call Jesus, I call upon the dragon card to demolish your home. I don't understand what that means. There has to, the story has specific turns all of a sudden. It's specific to this one guy who's actually not saying much about it. It's just like, oh, interrogate my children. That's it. What? Okay. That's pretty bad, I guess. Some person asked a lot of questions and see whether you can get away with from children. All right. So, such an integral part. That part is so unimportant and so unentertaining that I don't care, dude. But it's such a useful shield for him. It's just gonna keep him pushing, because it feels like he has additional agenda of like what he wants out of this.
You cannot tell this story without that context.
Yes, he can. Because that's not the integral part. The integral part is the dude making enemies, just like I've said. And that's the integral part that he took. And I respect him for it. It's crazy,
and to try
dude.
to tell this story without...
I'm just a guy just watching this drama unfold. It's like, what? Are we literally just listening to some crazy person now? Like, what the fuck is happening?
That detail, the most bad faith, cruel, gaslighting hit piece of all.
No. But now that he has established of like the CPS is the most important part, now we're just gonna go off the rails even more and seek for another thing to attach to, basically. The CPS was a very integral part of this video, outshadowing any of his response that he would want to make. There's no response that he's making right now. He's just like, hey, dude, you have missed this part. I think IDubbz should make another content cop. Just add a little bit more juice in there, you know, CPS. Just add in there with whatever he asks, you know. Just make another content cop, you know. He's asking for it. I would do that shit, bro. It's like, well, hey, I mean, you said my content cop is not good enough, so let me make another one. That never happened, right? Nobody got content cop twice. If you'll say that my content cop is not good enough, man, I'm a crank it. I want to see that shit right now. I'm subscribing. Oh, shit. I can't subscribe anymore. I have to switch channels to subscribe.
Time. Unfortunately, that's exactly what he did. He convinced his audience that the reason that I'm mad, that I'm lashing out, simply because I'm a raving lunatic. I am crashing
Okay, this is an interesting part.
Out crazy and harassing his friends for no reason. And
I think he's calculating that the harassment is not as warranted as the amount of it, right? For extraordinary harassment, you have to have extraordinary reasoning. Just like for the claims, you need the evidence. For the craziness and uncontrollable slurring, basically, towards your friends, you also need to justify your moves. Because the dude shows immediately of like, I'm willing to side with the enemy because you might be defeated. You might not have strong enough morals that you think you have.
of 8 years, I really appreciate you weaponizing my mental health.
Why are you going into politics? Why are you siding? Why are you making enemies? If you have mental problems, this is not the thing that you're supposed to be doing. You're not strong enough to actually perform whatever the fucking political backflips you're doing right now. It is unbelievable that this dude is so not self-aware to just continue making mistakes and derailing on purpose. From now on, if I have to make 4 videos about a rat, because a rat is wiggling, I consider that rat dead. Over. Wiggling, like, keep fucking wiggling, dude. I don't have infinite patience. 4 videos should be enough to case and point that I don't like this guy permanently. And when it comes to talk to my friends to talk to me, I'll tell you who to talk to get through and give me an apology. That person, all right? When she gets an apology, then I'll be able to receive the apology. Talk to my friends to talk to me. Oh, do you want number? Because I have number. H3 reputation. IDubbz reputation. Smaller. And Jewel. So if you want reputation, you can talk to Jewel more. If you have a chance, of course.
The lengths that I've gone to work on myself and improve my mental...
Why do you still need slurs, bro? The lengths. I don't think there were lengths. Like, the lengths will happen when we see good content. That's when we're gonna see and recognize lengths. And you have to make twists and turns, not just sit there on a fucking podcast raging and emotionally dumping for 5 hours exactly to the accusations. Bro has actually worked on himself. That's so good, man. Where's the fucking evidence?
condition for him to
Where's
throw
the
that in my
evidence of
face
that, bro?
to get some kind of
Bro is actually fighting still. His friend stepped in and is like, okay, here's what I don't like. Oh, now I am the enemy, right? You sure about that? I wouldn't want IDubbz as my enemy, I'll tell you that much. Because it would actually bring Content Cop to life. It will probably give him a new fucking reason to exist right now. Because it paints a next level narrative of like, you don't even know. You can be close to a person, really close for many years, and they will still become the most toxic, vile, internet garbage of all time.
is absurd. I'm mad because you are actively engaging with these people on social media, in DMs, while this harassment is happening. Seemingly
That technically is a good point to start off with, in actuality. Are you going to show evidence of that, though?
indifferent to it, silent on it. In a sense, I felt like...
But no, he should have been on my side and not silent at all, and treated them as like big-ass enemies. Bro does not care. Alright? Okay, that's pretty bad, but bro does not care. You cannot make it too bad. You can't make it look too bad, or it's gonna make you look crazy. Because you're digging dirt. Up to this point, IDubbz was completely irrelevant, and now he's the good guy. And he could even get out of the rat hole, become even better dude if he justifies continuing on making much better content and actually evolving out of this situation. If he's gonna be the Jack Soames and Sniper Wolf coming to terms and actually improving themselves. This is always gonna be the winner of drama, and a person who is super upset and just immediately retaliates. I don't think he put much thought into this. He just found a missing piece, reiterated his feelings, being butthurt, basically. That he expected way more from some guy. But don't be selfish. Because the dude, he did it for himself. He did the content comp for himself. So what's the ending?
You were more
like?
on their side than my side.
Our silence means something. It means that we would like to pause this relationship until you figure your shit out.
Our silence means...
You see, it's not the dog that puts shit on a carpet that children have to deal with. It's this guy being toxic on his podcast. It's just as bad as being a fucking adult star and having children, and children discover that, oh my god, my mom has OnlyFans. Is the same thing as children discovering that this guy has a rantcast. That this guy thought his point of view is so important that he can just go off into rantcasting himself. For money, for profit, for high production. Sitting in his throne surrounded by editors and people who keep pressing buttons for him. That level of entitlement, you really don't think it's gonna mess with your fucking brain? With already mentally ill brain, and it's gonna derail you eventually? And you're gonna think you're gonna win drama? Drama is the most complicated shit of all time. That your children will still have to eat one day. When they will be able to form memories. And everything that is haunting him right now will come back swinging no matter how many barriers and dams and shields he puts up. Everything that's accumulating right now is gonna break on his fucking forehead. And I am mad because I see a person who is losing the drama. Who could be a respectable human being, but stop doing that. For some reason, and it's like, where's the self-improvement, you know? Where's the realization? Why you didn't announce that on your YouTube channel? Only when you dropped a nuke have he announced. Only when he made a big enough enemy to make a big enough comeback. I mean, like, okay. For me, this is where the journey ends. You guys decide how deep you want to go, but for me, it ends. I have rats to catch. YouTube personalities who don't use this platform in good faith. Rantcasting is definitely not a good direction for any YouTube channel. It's way worse than even drama that you just talk about with a script, or like react to drama. Like, that's bad enough. But rant casting? Fuck this guy.
Something.
As an audience person, I have to be able to relate to be able to actually give this guy a prop up reputation. And I can't do that. So his whole drama is actually an isolated event where people can barely pitch in and help him out. Meaning that he's wasting most of other people's time with this.
Very pleasant interview with the FBI.
What the fuck? Bro received human souls. Is that skulls?
Human skulls in the mail at our home.
Oh, okay. That is fucked up. It's like, well, someone is getting involved here.
Progressed well past the point of that's just what the internet does.
Well, that's still what the internet does. If the internet generated this sort of fucking level of drama, which you probably want to like step aside and just take an L in a shape of, you know, you take double L and it's like, I don't know, that's a W right there. You just gotta take it. Just step aside. It's like, well, bad things are happening. You're getting enemies. You disclose who the enemies are properly. You don't even have to respond to IDubbz if that's all you care about. Just send IDubbz the message of like, I hope we're still friends and I hope you will find dirt on these fuckers, you know? Because bad shit is still happening to me. If this was the message, then I would be able to press approve and move on. But I don't think H3 is capable of taking those L's. Again, an L of making too many enemies, digging too deep into internet, using politics, and siding with certain group of people. You never know when you side so much that you are surrounded. Side over here, side over here, side over here, and all of a sudden you're alone and isolated. And the only thing you have is family. While everyone else gets the toxic part of you and cannot actually appreciate you whatsoever. Unless they get paid, then of course they will lie to you in your face that you're a good person. But during the drama, while you're fighting for something, always double check if you're not completely isolated and outpowered. Don't do that, bro. Those two skulls, that intimidation tactic is another sign to try and tell Ethan that maybe he pushed too far.
Ian had empathy at age
It's one of those bad unboxing moments, guys. Uh-oh.
32.
Pathetic to say at the age of 32.
And now I see it, you know, I feel the message of he wants to get push Content Cop to a new level. And now he finally found an outlet of where to start. This is how I see it. And it would be fucking amazing. To bring IDubbz into a reputable state. It's also a little bit crazy to see H3 with less subscribers. I think that kind of sucks, doesn't it? Because I will definitely not accept his podcast subscribers at the moment. Would you? So the dude still has moral and even number high ground when it comes to this drama. Holy shit.
I've acquired empathy. Is that because...
And it takes a huge amount of empathy to put yourself in a particular side. Where he knows he can come back to Ethan anytime. He can rekindle the relationship as he mentions. That everything that he's doing can be excused. And he can explain why he did what he did. There's still hope for that, you know, unless the person is too toxic to understand. And he loses the drama in general, right? So after the drama is over, after this cloud of insanity is over, this is exactly what he's mentioning. Then he will try and rebuild the bridge. But for now, it's war. Let's destroy everything, you know? It's like, destroy everything that breaks. Fuck it, right? That's also a very genuine stance of like, if nothing matters to you, let's destroy the rest of the things that you have. Let's destroy your podcast channel and maybe even attack your main channel and your reputation and see how many things we can get away with while you're focusing on your CPS bullshit. This is the ultimate strategy of all time, right? A person holds a shield, but then the rest of his life gets destroyed, but because he's still making enemies. He's not actually shielding himself. He's barking through the shield. He's using the shield as protection in order to bark even more bullshit into the system. I think most people started by respecting H3 because he dropped a nuke. That's usually people's starting point. It's hard to tell. So you can type in the comments where you started. If you want a discussion with me, which side you started on, but you can't possibly stay on the same side knowing all of this, right? I wanted to be on the side of Ethan of like, hey, he came back, he defeated his enemy, and he's gonna move on with his life in a different way, right? But no, he got a little bit challenged and got off the rails, and it's game over. That's it.
32. I've like feel for other people's pain and suffering now.
Imagine what happens when you're isolated. You cannot be cared for. You know, you can be a sacrificial lamb in order to make other people feel good, and you are part of this like ecosystem of like, hey, I made so many friends because of you. I grew these relationships because of you. And it's almost great that I just had to sacrifice one person to establish more better relationships. Fuck it, you know? Especially if you see through the bullshit that he's trying to pull on Deadmaus. I mean, I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. He pushed me away from that by doing that. By trying to paint Deadmaus as like, oh, that's the stupidest point ever a human can make that actually reduces someone's IQ. Like, holy molies. I think IDubbz gonna make more friends now. And as long as he remains politically clean, there's no problem for him at all. Except I don't like that style of IDubbz, so he better fucking evolve into a next level Pokemon, or it will be Rattata. Okay.
Like feel
please?
for other.
Newfound enlightenment, he had this to say.
I have made some cruel, hurtful content.
I love how IDubbz is perfectly represented in this video. And even Deadmaus gets a fair representation, I would say. But Ethan, damn. Where is his representation when he really needs it? When he really needs to defend himself, why does he give the best points to the opposition? You know? He's not even trying anymore.
And this long to
anyone who watches this video will still be fully equipped to actually switch sides when they have to. It's brilliant. Meaning that Ethan secretly still respects these people. Yes, he paints them as enemies, but he still has to respect them at the same time. And it's just, okay, this is too complicated for me to participate in shit like this.
Way to behave. And it's not.
What happened? Am I so uniquely evil that you're willing to abandon your newfound...
Let me try to explain what happened. Oh wait, I just have to reiterate the same point I've just made. IDubbz made more friends by putting you down. You know, by rejecting you, by pushing you nicely pushing you away, he made more friends on the other side. Even for the time being, it doesn't matter, right? But he escaped one toxic environment, he was able to build a less toxic environment on the other side. And he showed the whole progress. I completely understand that Ethan does not know all of this information, and it would be valuable for him to potentially watch this video. I also understand that most people will throw me in a trash pile immediately after watching 2 minutes of this video. Drama is very complicated and very difficult to solve when we don't respect each other. And we do not share enough information with each other to get a better perspective of what's going on in actuality. What's going on? He's asking all the right questions, he's giving the respect that he needs to give to the opposition, but will he be able to swallow the truth is the question. Because most of the time the answer was no.
What, less than a year?
Except with one exception that he dropped weight and he still shows the capacity of putting himself together, basically, for a God knows what. I mean, it boosts his reputation, but it doesn't seem to spend it very well.
What is it that I've done, Ian, that makes me...
So yeah, it's not about... Well, it is what he done. Make a toxic enough environment where it's worth escaping and taking anyone along with the right? Just enjoy that we're not a part of this toxic environment. They're on the other side, watching through the window, guys. They're much happier than in here.
Did you do this to revitalize your dying career?
That would be a nice side effect. Everyone wants their careers to flourish, and if they do the right thing, that will work. Their careers will in fact flourish, and people will not be like, oh man, isn't he a little bit too toxic right now? Should I be watching this? No, they will not question that anymore. That's how you revitalize a career. Getting views is not a bad thing, you know? Like, what the hell is going on? This is the worst ending ever,
The
right?
video reeks of despair and poorly researched. I don't really even understand why they did this.
And that's why I say to everyone, H3 is misinterpreting the point that Ian is trying to make. Because he doesn't even understand what that is. He's still asking to this day, why? Why would you do that?
I can't imagine that it's
I don't
going to be worth
understand.
it. It's going to be worth it.
But then he says the exact answer of why.
Thanks for the 8 years of friendship, buddy. Have fun with your new friends.
He understands and he cannot connect the two dots, bro, together. The same sentence he would connect together and bam, slam. Everything would clear up. Of like, he can make more friends outside of your toxic circle. That's it. Like, Ethan has nothing to offer in the actuality, in terms of what friend circle he has accumulated. He has nothing to offer. And people like thinkers like IDubbz and me, we want better friends. We want better relationships. And this guy has nothing to offer. I'm sorry, dude. You're going to be left behind. Goodbye. Goodbye, Ethan. You woke up, but goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Ethan, bro. Goodbye.